Now we're going to use Adobe Audition to make the PierPoint radio commercial. So I've already got Audition open here. So first of all, let's go to Microsoft Word here and open up our script. So once Word opens up here, we'll go ahead and I'm just going to close this and do File Open. And go to where my PierPoint, when I downloaded this from the internet, and here's the script, so I'm just going to double click it to open it up. Now here's how you read a 2-column script. I'm just going to pull this down. Okay, so what we have over here is this is the voice talking. This is with a script, and these are the sound effects. So as the voice starts, the music comes up and it's underneath the voice. And as this line is being said, escape to PierPoint Resort, that's where the calm wave sound comes in. Then that continues all the way until the end of secluded terraces for private sunbathing. That's where the calm waves fade out. When the line says escape to spacious, comfortable suites with beautiful ocean views, that's where the seagull sound comes in, and so on and so on. These sort of line up with each other. So this sound here, where the calm waves fade out after the word sunbathing, the forest birds fade in, and then after they say the line and proven methods of relaxation therapy, that's where you hear the champagne cork pop and the sound of the champagne pouring. And then escape to activities that aren't necessarily found on the agenda, the birds fade out and you hear the champagne glasses clink together after the champagne's been poured. And then the music fades out after the last line. For reservations, call 954-776-5121, and the music fades out. So we're going to keep referring back to this so we can remember where to put the sound effects. But let's go back over here to Audition, and let's switch to the multi-track view. Now when we click on multi-track, it's going to ask us to name it. So we're going to just call it PierPoint, and we're going to browse to the folder. That's our PierPoint folder, where we know where everything is. So I'm just going to go here and go to our PierPoint folder and hit choose. And then we've already named it PierPoint. We're going to keep the sample rate 4800 because that's what usually works in sometimes an edit and sometimes a radio commercial. 32-bit float, we won't discuss that now, but that's a nice high quality. And then of course stereo, so let's say OK. And there, we're just going to create the multi-track. Now each one of these is a separate track, just like you have inside Premiere, but they're for audio only because there's no picture in this. Then here's our project file that we've just created called PierPoint. So the first thing we're going to do is import the voiceover. So let's right click and let's go to import, and let's go out here to our PierPoint, and there's our PierPoint VO. So let's double click that, or there we go. And what we're going to do is just drop it in here. And once we do that, you'll see it wants to change the sample rate to the 4800 kilohertz that we set, because the natural file is not that way. And we have a little bit of a gap here, so we're going to go on our Move tool, which is the keyboard shortcut is the letter V, as you can see there, just like in Photoshop. So we just slide this over and it kind of snaps to the beginning. And we can hear that there's some noise at the beginning here. And anywhere that noise is, it's also here at the end. Okay, so we want to get rid of that. So to do that, what we've got to do is switch to the waveform view. That's where we're going to edit this piece of this voiceover directly. So now we're here, and we got the same noise here, and the same noise here. Now this is a nice larger little chunk of the noise here, so we're going to choose that larger piece of the noise, and we just highlight the noise and make sure no voice is inside of it. And then we come up here to the effects, and we go to noise reduction, and the first thing we do is capture the noise print. That's the sound of the noise without any voice, because if we include the voice, it'll cut that out of it. So we're going to capture the print, and once this says the current audio selection will be captured and loaded as the noise print for use the next time the noise reduction effect is launched. So we say OK. Now we're going to select it all. That's Command A. Now we're going to apply that. So we go to Effects, we go back to Noise Reduction, and this time we process the noise reduction, and you'll notice that the noise is going to flatten out. So it brings up this little thing here. Now I've adjusted mine. I've pushed the noise reduction up to about 80, and it starts off down around 15, and I'm going to push it up to 25, around 25. So you can vary this, but you don't have to exactly what I have, but I found this did a pretty good job. Now I can preview what it sounds like by just playing this, just to make sure it didn't eat into the sound of the voice. And I think the sound of the noise is gone, so I'm going to apply, and you'll see the noise flatten out. See how the noise is flat? No. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and continue to edit this because we want to get rid of that 3, 2, 1. So we're going to just highlight this whole piece here and just hit delete on the keyboard, and it's going to say yes, we know we're going to delete this. So we get rid of it, and we can zoom in by hitting the playheads at the beginning. So hit the plus key a couple times, and we can see this little piece at the very beginning, and just click on it and get rid of that too. And again, it's going to warn us. Now let's go to the end. You can just hit the end key, END. And you can see here at the end, I kind of fumble with the microphone after I say the last line. So let's back this up just a little bit, and you can grab this and little bar up here and move it back. So I think right here is where I finished talking. 3, 2, 1. 5, 1, 2, 1. Okay, so right here we can cut off the rest of this all the way to the end and hit delete. Okay, and then hit the backslash key, which is right above the enter key, and this is our whole piece now without noise in the background. So let's just play it real quick. And you can notice that it's averaging around -6. It goes a little over sometimes, but the average is about -6. And it never bounces off 0. That's the important part. Now that we've done that, let's switch back to the multi-track. Oh, we got to do one more thing. Now that we've trimmed it, it's a little bit short of 30. So we're going to actually make it be 29.5. So we're going to come up here we're going to select the whole thing. So that's Command A. And we're going to go up here to our effects. And we're going to go to time and pitch. And we're going to stretch and pitch process. So that we're going to slow it down slightly, so it goes out to the right length, because right now our current duration is 28:10 and we want it to be 29:15. So if yours says something different here, you can click and then change these two numbers to 29 and these last two numbers to 15. Make sure you leave the punctuation there, and then hit apply, and it will process. It's pretty quick. And what that will do is it will stretch it out without changing the pitch of the voiceover, without making it sound like Minnie Mouse or sound like really slow like this. It'll fix that. It won't be like that at all. And you may be able to hear some difference, but it won't be really super noticeable to somebody who's never heard the original. So but now it's actually 29:15. So let's switch back to the multi-track. And we're out here at 29:15 now. If we go to the very end and park right on it, you'll see we're at 29:17. So if I go back 2 frames and then keep going back. Okay, so there we go. That's right at the end of it, 29:15. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our script. So we're just going to do a Command Tab. Back to our script here, and the first thing we want to do is we want the comm waves to come in right as I'm saying escape to PierPoint Resort. So let's go back and let's import the comm waves, and it's going to ask us to change the sample rate as we drop it in here. So here is the comm waves. Let's drop it in. Oh, let's put the playback head at the right spot right here on escape. So let's drop in the comm waves right here on the second track, and it's going to say, okay, there we go. Okay, now let's see where they fade out. Let's go back to the script here for a second. I'm just using Command Tab, and they fade out on escape to oceanfront penthouses with secluded terraces for private sunbathing. So let's go to that point. So let's stop right there, and we're going to hit the backslash key so we can see the whole waveform, and just notice as you move the mouse up and down, the tool sort of changes. So you want this little sort of pitchfork looking thing, and click on it and you can trim it back and it'll snap to the playhead there. and then if you hit the backslash key, it'll fit it again. And what we want to do is do a nice little fade out here, and this is a fade button right here. But if you hold down the shift key, you can click and drag and create a little fade there. And if you play it, let's save, Command S, and then yes, we're going to save. And let's see how loud it is compared to the voice. Well, that's pretty loud, so let's go ahead and let's click on this and let's type -9. That's probably too soft, so let's go back and type -6. Okay, let's listen to that. That's pretty good, so let's save, Command S. Let's go back to the script with Command Tab. And the next one is the seagulls. The seagulls are going to come in at escape to spacious, comfortable suites. Okay, so let's go back. So let's find a spacious, comfortable suites. So that's right there, at the beginning of that's right there. Let's go get the seagulls, import. And here's the seagulls. And let's drop that in there, right on this line here. And again, change the sample rate, and let's listen to how it mixes for volume wise. I think they're a little bit quiet, so let's pump them up +6. So let's save that, Command S. And let's go back to the script, Command Tab. And it says here, okay, so where the comm waves are fading out, we're fading in the birds, the forest birds. Now this file needs a little bit of trimming, so I'll show you that. Let's Command Tab back to here, back to Audition. And let's import the forest birds. And let's bring that in. And so right here, as this is fading out, this is where we want to fade in the forest birds. So we'll put it right there at the beginning of the fade. We'll grab the forest birds and drop that right here. Oops, nope, cancel. Let's got to put it on the next track down. Okay, and then we're going to change the sample rate. And let's see where we actually hear the birds in here. Right there, you hear the first bird chirp is about right there. So I'm going to back up a little bit before that, and I'm going to trim this off. Again, I'm looking for the little pitchfork thing, so I have to move it kind of up here and grab this and trim it just a bit. And then I'm going to move this back so it starts kind of at the beginning, sort of halfway through that fade. Okay, and the birds were pretty quiet, so I'm going to boost them up like +9. Okay, and then I'm going to save, Command S, and take a quick listen. Okay, so right at that, the next one here, sound effect, is right at that point, escape to activities that aren't necessarily found on the agenda. Okay, so we want to do right here, and proven methods of relaxation therapy. That's where the champagne cork pops right after that line, so let's go back to there. Let's find that. Stop right at the end of that line. Now let's scroll this down just a little bit. Just hit this little button that kind of squeezes everything. Let's import the, I'm just going to make a little more space here. Right click, we're going to import the cork pop, champagne cork, and pour. And we can make this bigger if we want to, but okay, and get the champagne cork, drop it in here on this track, right at this point. And here we go. Now that's pretty loud. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop this down like -6. See how that works. Might be need -9. That's kind of okay. But what happens is the pop itself is very loud, but then the pour is kind of quiet. So we're going to do something special here. We're going to make this track a little taller. We're going to zoom in by hitting the plus key. And we don't, this controls the entire track. When we put -6, we put the entire track down -6, which was the pop and the pour. But we need the pour to be louder, so we need to separate these two, but on the same track. So I'm going to go get the razor blade tool up here. I'm going to cut it right here. And again, I have to move the mouse up and down until I get the proper tool showing up, and then click once to cut it, and then get off of the cut tool so I don't cut anything by accident. Now, what I'm going to do is these little lines here are for volume. So I'm going to grab the volume of the pour side of the effect and just drag it up to about +8. And sometimes you have to play around with it to grab onto that line. So I'm going to bring it up about +8, and then save, Command S, and then we'll look and listen and see how it sounds. Now we can actually hear the pour. So again, let's hit the / key so we're seeing everything. We can shrink this back down just a tad. And then let's go back to the script, Command Tab, and see that the glasses clink right after necessarily found on the agenda. So let's find that line. Okay, so right there. So let's zoom in here, and we're going to get the glasses clink. And we're going to drop that in here. And again, it'll ask us to, now we're going to zoom in here quite a bit. And we don't want the pour to continue after the glasses click, so we're going to trim this one up just a little bit here. It's going to be right about there. And we'll put a little fade by holding down the Shift key and dragging this little fade tool. So have the play out. And we'll have the glasses clink here. See the volume of that. It's a little loud, so let's go like -3 on that. This one needs to be more of a suggested clink than a really loud one. That sounds kind of fake-ish. And let's increase this fade just a little bit because it kind of stops sort of abruptly. It's still a little loud, so let's go -6 on this. Okay, and save. Now the last thing that we have to do is put the music, okay? So what we're going to do here is right click and import the song, which is As We Go. And we're going to drop that in on the last track. And right at the beginning. Okay. And again, convert the sample rate. Now we're going to see that once the waveform shows up, and it's taking a little longer, so I'm going to move the playhead all the way to the beginning and zoom in with the plus key. I'm just going to hold it down. And you can see there's some blank space at the beginning, so I'm going to trim that a little bit. I'm going to move it around until I get that funny looking little pitchfork tool, and then use the move tool to drag it forward. And then if I hit the / key, you'll see it goes way beyond the end of the commercial. So again, I'm going to get that little trimming tool that looks like a pitchfork and drag it all the way back and snap it to the end of the commercial. And then hit the / key, and you'll see that it's not quite lining up at 30. So I'm going to get on the trim tool again, bring it right back till it snaps to 30 right there. And then we're going to hold down the Shift key and make a nice little fade out of the music there. And save. Now we know the music is too loud. You always want the music somewhere, just start off somewhere around -15 or -18. So let's just try -15 and save. And let's listen to the whole thing from the beginning and see how it mixes. Perfecto. Now we're going to export it. We just go to File, Export, Multi-Track Mixdown, and we're going to do the entire session. And then we're going to tell it to be format as an MP3 file. The location we're going to browse, and we're going to put it in our PierPoint folder. So I'm just going to put it on the desktop for now, but you can put it inside your hard drive in a folder that the project is from. And we hit save, and that just tells it what type of file to be and where to go. And then we hit OK, and it's going to output it. And there it is. And that's what you put up to SoundCloud and then embed in your ICA's page the same way you do a YouTube file. And that's it.